bonjour, Connect Hearing community. I know it's not a really happy day to wake up to, but here we are on another live video, and I just want to start this video again, actually the third time I think in this last 2 years. Let's spread love, right? So anyways, thank you so much for joining us and me on this next Facebook Live. I see already Rick. Hey, Shirley. So I had a really good family day. So hopefully you were able to enjoy the family day with your family. I was with some friends that are like family for me in Canada, and I made a very traditional Portuguese dish that calls bacalhau. It is a salt codfish, and there's different ways you can make that. You can make with potatoes and eggs and stuff like that. So we had a really good time with my friends last Monday. So thank you so much for being in this video, and thank you all that had chosen the topic for today, that is tinnitus. Okay, so that was just perfect because from February the 7th was a Tinnitus Awareness Week. So let's talk more about this condition and bring more information to everyone there. The second topic that was chosen was about cleaning and maintenance of hearing aids. And I made a video about that not too long ago, and nothing really has changed much since then. So we'll be reposting that video, and you can watch that if that was your topic, okay? But if it's your first time joining me here today, my name is Christiane Basilio. I am an audiologist, and I have a doctorate degree in audiology. And I've been working in the field for many years, and working for Connect Hearing as well for many years. So it's been a pleasure to bring you information every time I come live. And always thank you for the hearts that you send it over to me. Really keep me motivated, and the likes of the videos and our page as well. So I see I have lots of people watching me. I'm super excited. Tinnitus is a topic that I really like to talk about it. And I have helped many patients with tinnitus over the years, and it's a very fascinating topic. So I'm happy here to give you information around that. So what I was, thank you, I see a heart, thanks. Before I start, I just want to mention that all our videos, we'll make sure that we post them on YouTube. I know closed caption is something really important to a lot of you. So on YouTube, you can easily choose closed caption, and works like a charm, okay? So we're gonna be posting all of them there. And if you wanna rewatch, if you couldn't really understand well my accent there, you can rewatch on YouTube, okay? So let's start. Hey Donna, hi Dawn, hi Kelly. So tinnitus is our topic for today, and you might think, how do I say this word? Is tinnitus or tinnitus? Actually, both ways are correct, okay? We usually use more the word tinnitus, but it's not wrong to say tinnitus as well. But what I want to do first, I'm going to go over some myths and some common questions around this topic, around tinnitus. And then the very end of the video, we'll talk about some treatment options, and then maybe some new things that you don't know about how to take care of this condition, okay? So first question, of course, basic, what is tinnitus? A lot of people think that tinnitus is only a ringing or a buzzing in the ears. And that's not true, okay? So this may be the most common way you would perceive tinnitus, but tinnitus can actually be a whirring sound. You can hear like the sea noise or humming noise. Some people feel that voices in there, but noises are not tinnitus, but it's just all those sounds that you might perceive that there's not actually an external source of sound, okay? So if you notice a sound in your head, a sound in your ears, and there is no other external noise happening, that is considered tinnitus, okay? Very important to say that tinnitus is not a disease, is not an illness. Usually it is a symptom of some underlying conditions, okay? So talking about that, what can cause tinnitus? Many things can cause tinnitus, but the main conditions there that can cause tinnitus is head trauma, neck injury. You can have tinnitus related to ear infections. You can have tinnitus related to hypertension. You can have tinnitus related to earwax. Occluding earwax can cause tinnitus. You can have related to MS. So that's something 2 years ago, I wasn't much aware of that. And I kind of study a little bit more, and I know MS could cause tinnitus as well. But the two most common conditions for tinnitus is hearing loss related to noise exposure and noise-induced hearing loss, okay? I forgot to say actually in the beginning of the video that the last statistics from Health Canada show that 32% of people have tinnitus in Canada, okay? But around 7% are very bothersome by it. So it is a lot of people out there suffering from tinnitus, and those are the most common underlying causes for tinnitus, okay? Let's go about a myth that we hear a lot. Having tinnitus means you will go deaf. This is definitely a myth. Actually, it's the other way around. So usually, as I said, 80% of the people that have hearing loss have tinnitus. I might haven't said that yet, but that's something I want to share. So usually a tinnitus will be a symptom of a hearing loss. So not the way around. So it's not because you have tinnitus, you're going to become deaf, okay? So that's definitely not what we expect, okay? Can tinnitus go away? Is it temporary? It can be. So sometimes, as I mentioned on the underlying conditions, if you have a fully occluded ear with wax, so fully occlusion with wax, you can develop tinnitus. And then once that wax is removed, then you're not going to perceive tinnitus anymore. Some ear infections can also cause tinnitus, and once it's treated, you don't perceive the tinnitus anymore. Okay, some medications that can cause a temporary tinnitus, like for example aspirin. Very low dose of aspirins is not a problem, but if you have to take a high dose of aspirin, just pay attention on the symptoms there, because if you have tinnitus and if you stop that medication, if your doctor allows you to, you most likely that tinnitus will go away. But if you have tinnitus for over 6 months and you don't have none of these conditions that we can treat and the tinnitus will go away, we would consider that as a chronic tinnitus. And then most likely it will not go away, okay? But we'll talk more about treatments and way to manage the tinnitus, all right? Oh, hey, hi Mel. Thank you guys for being here. So let's see what is the other question. Does tinnitus get worse over time? Okay, so that's a very common question as well. Tinnitus is really related sometimes to your life situation, okay? So basically, if you are really going through a very stressful time of your life, you can definitely perceive your tinnitus louder. Okay, but in general, if your tinnitus is related to hearing loss, over time, most likely it will reduce because your body, your brain will habituate to that sound, will create less negative reaction to the tinnitus, and you will start perceiving less and less. The issue though is for some people that can take a long time. to get there, and that can really affect your life. So that's what we want to then look for help and look for some professionals to help you. But over time, it's quite common in the office for us to see patients that have hearing loss for a long time, and when we ask them if they have tinnitus, they will say, yeah, I used to suffer from this condition in the past, but I don't notice as much anymore. Okay, so eventually your body will calm down and you habituate to that sound, but you might need help to get there. Okay, hearing protection. So this is another important fact here that I want to bring it up. Is one a normal condition that can come with tinnitus, that can develop with tinnitus, is what we call hyperacusis. Okay, so hyperacusis, it's a very high sensitivity to loud sounds. What happens when you have tinnitus, and especially if you just start noticing tinnitus and start bothering you, some people get afraid of maybe going out. They get afraid that the loud noise will make their tinnitus worse, and they start wearing hearing protection. Okay, so this is not a good recommendation. Okay, so hearing protection, yes, can be part of the treatment, but it has to be used on the right situations, and you need to have a proper recommendation on when and how often you should be wearing it. Okay, because if you wear hearing protection on a regular basis, and if you go out every time with hearing protections, actually your sound tolerance will decrease and will make it much harder for us to treat hearing loss and your tinnitus. Okay, so do not use hearing protection, of course, unless you are working with heavy tools and you know that's a very loud sound. We want to protect our hearing, but we don't want to use hearing protection all the time if you have tinnitus. Okay, will make things worse. Okay, so that's a no-no there. What is the next question that I have? Is a very common question, is does hearing aid can make my tinnitus louder? Okay, that's a no answer. So a hearing aid amplifies the external sound and not the internal sound, and tinnitus is an internal sound, right? So what can happen though is, if you have developed a high sensitivity to sound, if you have developed a very negative reaction to loud sounds, for example, and if you were treated, and if you get a hearing aid without a proper orientation, without treating first that high sensitivity to sounds, you can start perceiving your tinnitus louder, okay? But it's not because the hearing aid is damaging your ears, it's changing your reaction even more to your tinnitus, okay? So if you have a very high sensitivity to loud sounds and tinnitus, the first thing we treat is your high sensitivity to sounds. We need to get that under control before we can then amplify sounds to treat your hearing loss, and then that sounds can then eventually mask your tinnitus. Okay, so this is, but we can't say that a hearing aid make tinnitus louder. No. Okay, so that's a no-no. Other very common question is, does caffeine makes my tinnitus worse? So let's think about what I said of tinnitus, that it can really change with our life situation. Okay, we know that for a lot of common health conditions, let's say, having a healthy life can really help, right? So there are no research, no proof that if you stop caffeine, your tinnitus will go away, or because we know tinnitus has no cure. But what we know, that keeping a healthy life, having, exercise every day, trying to have a good sleep, that can affect your emotional being, right? Your well-being. And that can affect how you react to your tinnitus as well. That's how it comes the caffeine, because caffeine for a lot of people can make them anxious, can increase their anxiety, can affect their sleep quality. And then if that's what happens in your body when you have caffeine. That could potentially make your tinnitus worse, okay? Because your reaction to the tinnitus will become worse. So super important, as a tinnitus is a symptom, is to observe your body reaction, right, for things. So observe your body reaction when you have your caffeine. If that night you're not having a good sleep and maybe the next day you stop caffeine before noon, for example, to improve your sleep quality, then most likely eventually your tinnitus will become less bothersome, okay? But it's not a direct correlation there of tinnitus and caffeine, okay? But let's keep it a good quality of life, a healthy life, and that can definitely help you with your perception of tinnitus, okay? I see we have quite a bit of questions there. Yes, oh yeah, Darlene, I forgot about that. TMJ is also a cause of tinnitus. Is your jaw, your joint here, if there's a lot of clicking, or if you bite your teeth like at night, that can cause tinnitus as well. So that's something you can ask your dentist to take a look on that as well. So thank you, Darlene, for reminding me about that. So the last topic around tinnitus that I want to talk about it, that probably most of you are waiting for, is can I get rid of tinnitus? Okay, it's a very annoying sound. I just want to have a normal life. I want to sleep well. What can I do so this can go away completely? So we learned already that the only ways that the tinnitus might go away completely is if maybe it was related to earwax, or maybe TMJ like Darlene mentioned, or ear infection, or a medication, for example. Besides that, if it's related to a hearing loss, okay, a noise-induced hearing loss or aging-related loss, we don't expect, and we know that there is no cure, okay? Because the hearing loss is permanent, and that reaction from your brain of those missing sounds is there. There's nothing really we can do for that. However, there is different ways we can manage, some strategies that we can use that will help your brain to habituate. So you start noticing the tinnitus as much as now, not affecting your quality of life, okay? So there is something that we call a vicious circle, okay? So let's think about when you first perceive sound, when you first perceive the tinnitus in your head, you become aware of that sound. Then your brain, part of your brain will define if that sound, they should pay attention to that sound or not. Is it dangerous or not dangerous, okay? Then you create an emotional reaction to that sound, very negative emotional reaction, because now you think, oh my God, tomorrow I have a meeting. I can't sleep with this noise in my head. And then you start becoming very negative about the tinnitus, and you keep hearing that sound all the time. And then you have that reaction to the tinnitus. So it becomes like a vicious circle. That's how we say. You get stressed, you notice louder, then you stop sleeping, then you need more caffeine, and it becomes really difficult to live with this condition, right? So a lot of the strategies that we use in the office is to help you to break that vicious circle, okay? And most of these strategies are, first of all, improving well-being is one of them, and perhaps you might need a sound generator there to distract your brain from this sound, okay? And train your brain that that's not dangerous sound. That's not an illness, okay? Where I don't have anything serious, and you can calm down your mind, and then that sound starts becoming the back of your mind, okay? So a good analogy for you to think about it around tinnitus is when we think about a lighted candle, for example. So if you are in a bright room and you have a lighted candle there, it's not even noticeable, right? Because you have other light source around, you maybe be distracted, you're working, you may be cooking, and that light is there, you don't even notice. But it gets at nighttime when everything is quiet, it's dark. Of course, that light candle will be really bright. So your brain will really focus on that, like, oh, what is this? It's like it stands out right in the room. And that's exactly what happens to tinnitus, okay? Most of you have noticed during the day when there is other noises around you, you just don't notice. But then when it gets nighttime, when it's quiet, you're trying to relax, or maybe you're trying to read and it's very quiet, you are really aware of your tinnitus. So what we need to do is to find ways to distract our brain, okay? So a lot of times people might just put a fan in the room and that's all they need, okay? If you don't have a hearing loss, for example, there's different type of sound generators out there that could help you to manage and to start distracting your brain from that sound so you can sleep well, and then you're going to get less stressful, and then you're going to have less of a negative reaction to tinnitus, and then life start getting better, okay? This type of sound generators are something you can even put under your pillow. You can have some sounds more like a nature sound and choose maybe music or something you like, anything that can distract your brain from that sound, okay? Tinnitus does not make you to wake up, okay? What happens is if you wake up, of course you focus on your tinnitus right away because there's no other sound in the room, right? So if you have that issue, like if you have you can fall asleep, but then you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't fall asleep again because of your tinnitus, you need some type of noise generator in your room, okay? Because then your brain won't be focusing so much on the tinnitus and you can fall asleep again, okay? But if you have a hearing loss, we must be wearing hearing aids. This is the first treatment for tinnitus, is having hearing aids. Is it gonna make my tinnitus go away completely? Most likely not. Some people don't notice their tinnitus at all when they have the hearing aids, and some notice, but it's just not as bothersome. So this is always the goal of a tinnitus treatment, is not to get rid of the tinnitus, because we know we need realistic expectations. It's not gonna go away, but you're not gonna notice as much. It is gonna improve your quality of life, less stress, less anxiety, you perceive less of your tinnitus, okay? So my first recommendation is, if you have tinnitus and it's something that just came up and you're not sure what it is, and you're not taking any new medication, you had your ears checked for wax, no wax, you don't have infection, we need to do first a hearing test and a tinnitus assessment as well, okay? So hearing test, first thing we need to do, because we know 80% of people with tinnitus have hearing loss. So we gotta rule out that condition, okay? And a tinnitus assessment, it's a more in-depth testing around tinnitus that we call as a psychoacoustic testings. So we can test, for example, in the booth, what is the loudness of your tinnitus. We can match the pitch, the tone of your tinnitus, and we can add some masking and measure and measure. I would say it's the word measure. You measure if a masking would help with your tinnitus, okay? So all of those tests can be done in the office. And then if you realize that, yes, you definitely need a masker in your hearing aids, that's something we're gonna start the treatment with, okay? So we are gonna start a hearing aid, but with the masker, because the focus when we treat tinnitus, even though you might have hearing loss, is to treat the tinnitus first, okay? Is to treat your reaction to tinnitus first. So we can't expect then when you get hearing aids, some people notice an improvement in their tinnitus right away, okay? I have talked about some type of hearing aids in other videos, like Lyric is a really good hearing aid for tinnitus. So once they turn it on, they might don't hear anymore because you're having that other external noises masking the tinnitus. But we can't expect that always when you start wearing a hearing device that your tinnitus will go away very quickly, okay? So if I have a patient that comes to me and their main concern is tinnitus, what is normal, even though he might have hearing loss, because the hearing loss is gradual, so your brain get used to it, but tinnitus can become a very sudden change, and that's when you get desperate pretty much, right? So if the main reason you are looking for help is tinnitus, and you have a hearing loss, there's no other way. We need to start with hearing aids, okay? But we need to maybe modify the adjustments, depends on how sensitivity you are to the loud sounds, and it is a treatment plan, okay? And then when we start treating that tinnitus, when you start feeling better with that, then we can maybe focusing now on how the hearing aid is helping you with communication and so on, okay? So this is always our main focus in the beginning, and then eventually helps for hearing as well. But we can't expect that you get a hearing device today and next week, no tinnitus anymore. No, that's not gonna happen, okay? So we need to be more open for a full treatment and full recommendations there from a hearing professional. So I think that's what I had here today to share around tinnitus. I see there's a lot of questions on here. Let me see if hi Dave, Bruno, Paul, Darlene, Chris, okay. Let's see. I have hearing aids from NextGen that have masking function for my tinnitus. That's from Chris. Even when I put the masking sound on high, it doesn't cover it, and I still can't sleep. Is there any other treatment that I can look at it? So really, really good question, Chris. When you have a masker option in your hearing aid, we're gonna never set up that masker louder than your tinnitus, okay? Because that's not gonna help your brain to habituate to it, all right? So what we need to do, Chris, is to, first of all, be comfortable with the device. And as I understand, you might saying that you're trying to sleep with your tinnitus, right? So it is a combination of things, okay? We can't just expect that you're gonna put a masker in your ears and everything will be fine and you're going to sleep well. No, let's look on all the other conditions as well, all the other things we can do, okay? How stressful have you been? How well do you have any other thing happen in your life? How much focus are you putting into your tinnitus, okay? Because if you keep thinking about your tinnitus all the time, if you keep changing your masker level all the time, you will never be able to live with this condition, right? It will take over your life. So we need to kind of find out there and maybe look for a different maybe sound that might calm you down more than the masker, okay? You can use an app to do that, to choose different sounds, because sometimes just a white noise sound is enough, but sometimes that might not help you. So we might need to download a different sound there to help you to tune it out from that tinnitus, okay? There is a question here from Geoff, Geoff, I think, Steely. What type of hearing aids are best for tinnitus? There is not a best type of hearing aid for tinnitus, okay? Because hearing aids are there to amplify the external sounds. And basically, any hearing aid can actually help for tinnitus. But again, like what I was telling for Chris, it's not only about the hearing aid and the masker, right? There is a good research, and we know that the more you wear them, the better, because you are distracting your brain all the time with other sounds. And we have noticed with lyric hearing aid, that is a type of hearing aid that you wear 24 hours, can be very helpful for who have tinnitus, okay? Lyric is not a type of hearing aid that everyone can have. It depends on your ear canal shape, hearing loss, but that seems a good style as well. But any other hearing aid can help actually with tinnitus. So I would say there is no best brand or manufacturer or style. It's more about how they were adjusted and how you were counseled as well about your type of tinnitus. Okay. Herb have a bad hearing, so we need to do a hearing test. Herb. Let's see if I find any other question here. Let's see if Lindsay sent me a question here, because she might have sent questions that I don't see it there. 1 second here, everyone. Let's see. Oh, maybe she sent me an email. There you go. There are some questions here. Oh, that's a really good one. Does vertigo contribute to tinnitus or vice versa? Can you also hear clicking sounds as I fall in sleep? That's from Christine. Thank you for your question, Christine. So tinnitus can be a first sign of vertigo. Okay, so if you have been suffering from vertigo, some people start noticing tinnitus before they have a bad episode of vertigo. Okay, so definitely those two conditions can work together. And there is some what we call as a it's like a migraine vertigo, I think. Can't remember now exactly the name, but that usually you have tinnitus as well with the vertigo. So for that, Christine, I had made a video about balance and vertigo, and the same way we have assessment specifically for tinnitus, there are some balance testing as well that you can go through, and then know more about your condition and what you can do for it. Okay. So I think this question already answered, and Darlene was a question about the TMJ, so that was a good question. Oh, there is a question here. That's maybe a popular question. I don't know how to answer that question yet. I don't think we have enough information yet, but I have a question here about I got tinnitus after having the Johnson & Johnson vaccine for COVID. Is this something you've heard of, and what would you recommend do next? It's been 8 months. So there are, a lot of beginning of researches around there that some people had developed tinnitus. We don't know for sure, if it's related. As you know, as I mentioned in the beginning, there are so many other underlying conditions, right, that can cause tinnitus. But I would say, who asked this question, I don't have the name here, but if it's been about 8 months, I would definitely, first, if no the other underlying conditions I mentioned, hearing test, tinnitus assessment is the first thing we need to do. Okay, let's just first confirm if you don't have a hearing loss, because again, hearing loss is gradual and we don't notice sometimes, until we get severe for some people. So we definitely need to have a hearing test done, But I can't really say or confirm yet that any COVID vaccine is related, cause tinnitus, We don't know that for sure, Too soon, there is someone, Christine, yes, and you also mentioned about a clicking sound, Christine, so that's what I mentioned in the beginning. Tinnitus can be perceived in very different ways, and clicking noise can be one of them, So it's still considered tinnitus. The treatment for it wouldn't be any different, If it's like a clicking, a buzzing, it's the sound is there, right? So we need to treat the same way. I have a question here that my ears are often itchy. That's from Marianne Wood. Hey, Marianne. When I wear my hearing aids, does that mean I have excess earwax, and how can I remove? Actually, Marianne, it's the opposite. Usually when you have itchy ears with hearing aids, you don't have too much wax, or you produce too much moisture in there. So it kind of sweats, and then it causes the itchiness, For sure, have your ears checked and see if you don't have a buildup of wax, but it's not what usually happens. It's most likely the opposite. So sometimes the ear canal is so dry that having that hearing aid in the ear is kind of just the friction of the hearing aids can cause that itchiness, and you might need to use a bit of a lubricant, and that might help you, Sharon Thompson is saying that she had no luck with the maskers or anything else connected to the hearing aids I wear. I wear them steady for over a year. They did nothing. The best have found a book called Rock Steady Healing Vertigo and Tinnitus through Neuroplasticity by Joey Remini. She has lots of free stuff on YouTube. Her program is excellent. I love that, Sharon. That's wonderful, because I mentioned tinnitus has no cure, right? So for some people, masker can be extremely helpful. For others, not, because maybe your tinnitus, what is affecting you the most is more your negative reaction to it, right? So a lot of this type of programs, this healing, vertigo, this natural ways, it helps our mind, right? And tinnitus is very much affected by that, okay? How you react to it. Have you heard about a medicine called ear tone? And is it effective? You know, Paul, there is no medicine out there that can say that cure tinnitus. No. Okay. I know there's a lot over the internet. Oh, take this vitamin, it will help. Take this vitamin, it will help. Not really. Okay. We need to be careful with those internet information there. So there is no, I haven't heard about the ear tone, but I know for a fact that there is no medication that can help tinnitus. Okay. There's medication that can help your anxiety, that affects your reaction to tinnitus, okay? But not specifically for tinnitus. Let's see if I have any other question. That's Marion for the itchy ears. Joanne, hi, I was trained as a hearing aid practitioner, not in the field anymore, but I always enjoy hearing the information. Oh, thank you, Joanne. Really appreciate. It's very interesting with these videos that I have been doing. The focus had been always helping more the patients, but I have got a lot of feedback from my colleagues and students in audiology, so I'm happy that I can help everyone there. Let's see, I use my tinnitus noise at night. Okay, I think we did go a lot of, oh, that's a question about cochlear implant. I always love talking about cochlear implants. My son has bilateral cochlear implants. The tinnitus is very severe at night. We let him fall asleep with the cochlear implant on and then remove them once he's asleep. I'm concerned once he's older or we aren't there to take his CIs off. Any other suggestions? You know, Tennis, I'm glad that he can fall asleep with his CI. And as I mentioned, in general, you will start perceiving your tinnitus less and less over time. Okay, so my recommendation is to do everything possible there to keep your son with not a stressful life. So if he does suffer from anxiety and stuff, having a good counselor, having a good orientation there, that will help him with that reaction to his tinnitus. It's all about the reaction to tinnitus, okay? And I know you might think that is easier. I do not suffer from tinnitus, but my dad suffered from tinnitus. And I have many, I have friends, younger friends that suffer from tinnitus, and it's not easy. Of course, it's not easy. But, we need to find ways to live with this condition and find ways to manage your reaction to it. Is it common in children? Do they grow out of it? Yeah, that's, I think, the question. Yeah, so children, I think we need to be very careful, everyone, is noise exposure, right? So children, teenagers, they wear those earplugs. So there's a lot of tinnitus among the younger generation because they are being exposed to loud sounds many hours a day. Okay, so that's something if they start noticing tinnitus, or even they develop hyperacusis as well, that's the high sensitivity to loud sounds, and most likely is related to exposure to loud sounds. Okay, so we need to be really careful. I know not always they will listen to the parents, so if that's the case, maybe bring them for a hearing test appointment and having a professional to provide them a better recommendation. They might listen to someone else. I don't know. It's hard to say. All depends on the age they are. But yeah, the more knowledge, the better, right, for everyone. So, okay, I think we are being on for 40 minutes. I will say again, let's spread love. What a tough day to wake up to. And really appreciate everyone here with me, and I really look forward to these videos. Stay safe, stay connected. Big hug to everyone, lots of love, and take care. Bye bye.